Hello, neighbor.
Well, hello.
Do I have your permission to film this and use the footage?
You absolutely do.
Okay, and your name is?
I am Kari Feeney.
And would you please describe yourself in 5 words?
Whew, 5 words. I would say ambitious.
Okay.
I would say adventurous.
Okay.
Hard worker. Humorous. And a friend to most.
Okay. And can you describe your living situation? Where do you live? Who do you live with? What's your jam?
Absolutely. I am a dink relationship, happily and healthily, double income, no kid situation.
Okay.
And I live in a suburban neighborhood, single family dwelling, only home we own.
Okay.
I'm very pleased that we are able to be homeowners in this path of life.
Okay. And where is this?
I am outside of Portland, Oregon, in the Pacific Northwest.
Okay. And how long have you been living here?
I have been living in the Pacific Northwest, that Oregon area, going on 6 years.
Okay. And where did you come from and why did you move here?
Previously to that, I was living in the Nashville, Tennessee area. Previously to that, the Kansas area. Previously to that, the Atlanta, Georgia area. Previously to that, upstate New York.
Okay.
Born and raised in upstate New York, and have all that pathway working to Oregon has been coin operated by the company that would move me and or my husband.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
That's what's brought us to Oregon.
Fair play. What's your favorite thing about living here?
Oh gosh, I really enjoy the Pacific Northwest. I think I've really identified with it. I'm in the Willamette Valley of Oregon.
Okay.
So the rainforest, big trees, big rocks, big greenery. Though I'm not from Ireland directly, I feel like I always, want to claim that as home, even though I'm an Irish American, not an Irish person. It just feels very welcoming and warming, the nature that is here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've really enjoyed the people that are here. I feel like my ideas in life aligns very well with the Pacific North region. And yeah.
Cool. Feels like home. What to you does a good life feel like or look like?
A good life to me is a happy life. Happy in a lot of different ways. But at the end of the day, truly, I would rather be poor and happy than rich and sad.
Okay.
A full life filled with loved ones, be it animals or animals as humans, and just something that you strive to do each and every day to keep you going. I think as humans, we were not designed to just go to work and pay bills. I think we need a lot more than that. So staying physically active is important to me. Having community is important to me. And just having a joyous outlook on life is important to me.
And what is the biggest challenge you're facing in your life right now?
The biggest challenge right now, I'd be a fool to say, the economics of everything. It just feels very weighty right now, living in the world of the 2020s. Post-pandemic has been a very interesting life for me, and in the ways that we moved to Oregon not knowing anybody just before the pandemic happened. So in February of 2020, we moved to Oregon, and then we've only ever known this area as, we affectionately say, post-COVID.
Okay.
So I think that community building was strong during COVID, and then we all kind of went back to our ways of doing things.
Okay.
So my strongest struggle, I have a great community, and I like to build community, but I continuously want to build a bigger and better community for myself.
How did you find ways to build community during that lockdown period?
Yeah, that was an interesting time, right? Because you couldn't invite a stranger over to your house and you couldn't go out and go to social events. The internet, though it be a scary thing some days, does connect people, and that classic like knows like. So being in Oregon, a lot of outdoor hiking things were available and walking, and that's kind of how I built from there. My best friend in the area I met on couchsurfing.org. Which is a platform that not too many people know about anymore. It's changed a lot, but it's that classic connection of trying to find people where you have similarities more than differences.
Okay. What is your favorite vegetable?
My favorite vegetable? I want to say broccoli, but as I get older, broccoli doesn't agree with me. And potatoes are a starch, so I won't put her in that category. So yeah, I'll just stick with broccoli because that feels like the safe answer.
Okay. And how do you spend the majority of your time?
Majority of my time I try to spend outside.
Okay.
Current different living situation, or not living situation, but I have since left my job. Have taken a temporary pause on corporate America. So I find myself hiking a lot,
Okay.
being with my friends where I can, hanging out with my animals.
Okay.
And
Should I ask why you've taken that pause?
Classic burnout millennial pause. Just needed a break. I've kind of lived the lifestyle of working really hard, collecting the funds that I need for the time being,
Okay.
and then taking those funds and doing something that makes me feel at peace or makes me feel adventurous or just makes my soul feel whole. So I've taken some time off with a big trip coming up currently.
And what's that big trip?
My big trip, as we sit here in the kitchen in my Oregon home, is I will be taking 2 horses to the border of Mexico with the goal of riding them to the border of Canada along the Pacific Crest Trail,
All right.
which is a 2,600-mile hiking path here on the West Coast. I have previously thru-hiked the 2,200-mile hiking path on the East Coast known as the Appalachian Trail. So I've thru-hiked that, and I'm hoping to thru-ride the PCT.
Okay.
T- 4 weeks, but who's counting?
Okay. What do you wish you had more time for?
More time. I don't know. I mean, truly, just life. This part of life. It sounds awful, but I think as primates, we do need to go after our youth, our 20s, our 30s, our 40s, our 50s. But our bodies do slow down. Yeah. We are living longer due to science. Thank you. Science and medicine, big fan, shout out. But I think our physical bodies do break down. So I want to do more time of those, going to other countries. And it's not the exposure of being like, oh, it's so crazy being in these other lands, but it's like those long haul flights. Those long haul flights are not made for our bodies. Well, economy's not. And that's where I do sit. So yeah, I wish I had more time just to live life in this moment when my body's in its prime.
And that leads into the next question. What do you think will happen to you personally when you die?
When I die, well, I do believe that our body is just a vessel. My plan is to make the paper when I die. I say that wholeheartedly. Though it would be nice to die, I guess, peacefully in your sleep, but I want to live a full life, not necessarily a long life. So depending on how I go out, I think will depend on what happens with my body. But honest to goodness, to medicine and cremate my remains, and who's ever in charge of it at that time can figure out what to do with it. But I am not invested in what happens to my body after I die, because I'm no longer using it, and my soul gets to go do something else. Okay,
cool. What do you know more about than most people?
The thing I know most about is myself. I am a proud person of who I am. I like to hang out with myself. I'm comfortable with myself. I think I know Kari Feeney more than anybody else knows Kari Feeney.
I think that's fair. What's something you've learned recently?
So something I have learned recently due to my, hey, let's go to Mexico to Canada with a couple of horses, is learning how to pack equine. I took a training course out in Montana for a few weeks, gone to a lot of clinics, and trial by error have figured out how to put a pack saddle on a very tall animal. And in the next 4 weeks, we're really going to be practicing and honing those skills. But as a lifelong horseman, the world of packing is a whole new concept.
And you've been learning that mostly from other people, not from the internet.
Yes, I like the connection of humans. I feel like I can learn so much from people. The internet, though, is a good thing to learn quick little adjustments and things. That human connection, I learn so much more from, and especially when working with the animals, how to move around them in a certain way, on how a packer would move around. I learned a lot on the mules, and the mules are a lot different beast than the horses are. So yeah, that human connection of learning how to pack was vital to me versus the internet.
I'm super curious. How do you move differently around a mule?
So the mules, As we all know, people always say, oh, they're stubborn, more the donkeys, but the mules are, you be very kind to them.
Okay.
And again, it was great when my packer's like, you got to speak softly to him. He's probably had some other harsher people around them. And I said, well, I'm not going to be mean to him regardless, but a lot more methodical movement.
Okay.
Because they're always watching, and they really seem to keep score on who's pleasant to them. Unfortunately, a lot of the mules / donkeys in life, they're known as a beast of burden, and they're just a work type equipment, but they're not. So yeah, just kind of like a slower movement, almost kind of work more like a cow would.
Okay.
Like where you're not, up on the shoulder, up in their face, but more kind of hindquarters and touching them there, and just being slow around them.
Cool. Do you have access to the health care that you want and need, and how not?
So I'm very fortunate that I have any health care. But as far as what I need and want, I feel like the idea that healthcare is attached to employment is wild to me, considering that a lot of folks who could benefit the most from having good healthcare are unable to be as productive in the 9-to-5 work world that we have been fed to us.
Yeah.
I don't feel there should be good and bad healthcare, and mine's different than yours is different from my neighbors, because that just gets us right back to, if you have enough money, you can solve enough problems. I really would like to see a universal healthcare system, so that we all are kind of on an equal playing field, and medicine not be a for-profit business that it has moved into. So do I have healthcare? Yes. Is it great healthcare? I have healthcare.
Okay. Okay. When's the last time you read a whole book?
Oh, I read quite a bit. I'm in the middle of an audiobook because I drive all the time. But my last paperback was a book called...
Audiobooks count.
Well, I do both. But my last paperback was a book called Not a Walk in the Park, Riding the Crest.
Oh,
It was about a woman that it was given to me from somebody who had rode the PCT. But it wasn't a gift, but they let me borrow it from a woman who had also rode the PCT.
Oh, nice.
So that was my last paperback.
And who wrote that?
Her name is Janice. Can't remember the author's last name, because both Janice, who loaned me the book, and the main writer in the book is Janice. So that was an easy memory.
Okay.
I do read quite a bit, but once I finish a book, do not ask me anything in the next 5 to 15 years. 5 minutes.
Let me ask you one thing about it. Would you recommend it?
I would, if that's something you're interested in, right? I'm a big nonfiction reader. I don't read much fiction or fantasy or anything like that. It's a horse book. It's a camping book.
Right.
So I thought it was wonderful.
Okay.
I don't know if the main public would think so much.
Okay. Describe a good person.
To me, a good person, let's see. I think they have to know themselves to be a good person, to be able to reflect that to the world. As humans, we do have a conscience, and I think you have to answer to that first. And so often people, it feels like they shut down their conscience, and they know when they're doing good and bad things. So I don't know if I need to describe a good person, because in the heart of it, at the core of it, we all know what a good person does and doesn't do.
Okay. What did you have for breakfast this morning?
A protein shake.
A protein shake. And what is your favorite thing to have for breakfast?
Cold pizza.
And how often do you have that?
More often than I should, but probably once a month or so. But I'm from, the state of New York, and there's nothing better than a slice of cold New York style pizza from a good pizzeria.
Okay, fair play. What do you love here on planet Earth? What makes you happy you're alive?
The connection of how we're all just kind of moving through life based on energy. And, there's a ripple effect for everything. We're not just these soul humans that, don't affect anything. What I do when I step on a plant, when I interact with an animal, when I consume an animal, it's all that ripple effect. So I just love how interconnected we all are.
Cool. If you got a checklist when you paid your taxes and you were able to say to the government, this is my top 3 priorities, this is how I want you to spend my portion of this money, what would those top 3 priorities be?
Okay. I do pay a lot of taxes, it feels like, as a married, non-childbearing person. I am all about helping the people as a community.
Okay.
Not necessarily like this person in need specifically, but I feel like food insecurity is a big issue we have in our world. I grew up in the agricultural world, so I know where our food comes from and how to do that. A lot of people don't, and they don't understand how expensive it is. So I would like to see some continued subsidies with helping people consume food, but I would like to see those subsidies in essence on real food, helping the folks raising our livestock, not the people packing it. That in between that gets a lot of the subsidies. But I'd like to see food insecurity happen. I would like to see something put into place where single dwelling homes can't be bought up by private equity, and where people can't own multiple homes. To an extent, I guess we'll let the summer homes go and stuff, but it is really upsetting to hear people buying up, single family homes and putting them on Airbnb, and BlackRock doing that. So I would like to see my money used to lobby against that, or just put something into place. And then, we already talked about healthcare, so I would like people to have access to healthcare at least as a bare minimum of being a community of the United States. And then if they needed to solicit or seek out additional, then that's on them. But I don't feel like anybody should fear what happens to them or not go to the doctor because afraid that something worse would happen.
Right. What 3 things would you not want your taxes going towards?
So I do support the military. I don't support being the world's bully though, or bodyguard. I would like to see maybe a little bit less spending around some of that. And again, by no means as soldiers, because we all know, unfortunately, the people that have gone to combat or just are enlisted, sometimes they just get tossed aside at the end of the day. So still money there. I don't want to see money going into just things that hurt people, right? The big thing right now in a buzzword and everything happening is with the ICE situation. We're a country built on immigrants. I feel like a lot of money has been put into that department that wasn't needed. Checks and balances with everything. But I just feel like there's been a lot of unneeded spending going that way. And then overall, just what our politicians make, right? So that's our money when they're on furlough, when they're, taking these gaps in work and they're making 6 figures. And I feel like my taxes should go to a little bit less pay to all those folks.
Okay. How many living beings are you responsible for keeping alive?
Way too many. A lot. I am an animal person, not just my own animals, but I'm in vet med. So I feel like any puppy I've ever petted or any kitten I've ever snuggled or any old dog I've euthanized, and it helps with that. That was a part of me and I was responsible for that. So I'm going to say an infinite amount of things. And if I see something that needs some help, I'm going to provide a hand. So not directly attached to it, but I'm
And how many of those animals live with you?
Animals within my home, myself, my husband, 2 dogs, just adopted one yesterday. And in about 32 hours-ish or so, I'll have the horses here that I'm going to be taking care of right readily. So less than 10, more than 4.
There we go. Okay. Do you feel well represented by your politicians? And I want to go from the local up to the national.
I want to say that I'm abreast to what's happening in politics, but I'll be the first to admit I don't know the nuances of local to the top. I do focus a little bit more locally. We live in a small town, so I do want that represented. When you move up through, is the state being represented well? I don't think there's ever going to be a politician who hits it out of the park across for everybody. Rooms for improvement on them all. The current administration is very divisive, but again, you put somebody else in that exact same role and you're going to have just that same feeling on different sides of the fence. I do hate how divided we are amongst politics. As the United States of America, we feel very divided. I have not done my due diligence to know the same thing locally to the top.
Okay.
But I would say no.
Okay.
Short answer.
What kind of person would you be excited to vote for?
I mean, first and foremost, come on, people. We've been beating the same dead horse here with the men. I would like to see those 2 strong X chromosomes at the head.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not just going to vote because they are a female, but I think as women,
Mm-hmm.
we move through life differently, and we have absorbed and learned so many things that go unnoticed.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just even a low-level woman is stronger than some of the upper-level men, because we just do things so innately,
Mm-hmm.
that I think would be very, very helpful.
Okay. Is there something in your heart that you really want to do that feels almost impossible, like some big dream?
I mean, I'm getting pretty dang close. So I learned that I could ride the PCT when I was actually on my Appalachian Trail through hike. I didn't even know that the whole thing was graded for pack animals. And I read an article by a mentor of mine, even if she doesn't like that I'm calling her a mentor, but by Gillian Larson. She was featured in REI. And while I was hiking the Appalachian Trail, I actually got news from some veterinarians. My horse was at the vet clinic and he wasn't responding to his cancer treatments. So I kind of had this like crescendo of learning that I was going to have to euthanize my horse that I had had for 20 plus years, and learning that I could ride horses on this other long trail. But that takes a lot of money, and I didn't have a horse and I didn't live out here.
Right.
But somehow things have all fallen into place, and I've been very blessed to at least give it a good go.
Okay.
And that's what I should be starting around May.
And I was going to say, what's the roadblock to you doing that? But it sounds like you've been hurdling over them.
I've been hurdling over those, but anytime any big adventure happens, it's never the end goal. It's just, trying to work towards the next thing.
Right.
It's simply as, is there a downed tree between me and where I'm going? But there's, injury and finances and political climate. And so the goal is just to get on every day and work towards where I'm headed.
Okay. What do you think is the biggest challenge we're facing as a country?
I think I kind of already alluded to that actually with a different question you had asked. I just feel that we're very divided.
Okay.
And there's no sense at the end of the day. Most people have this idea that somebody's bad because they were told that, but then when they sit with them with a hello neighbor type situation, we're all just bags of flesh.
Okay.
We're just humans moving through life. And I wish we were a little bit more united in that way of thinking.
Okay. And if you could ask everyone in the country one question, what would it be?
One question. Is your pets up to date on their vaccines?
All right. And if you're watching this, we would love to have you answer that in the comments. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.